Discovery last night, man. Jefferson, let's start with you, man.
Okay, all right. I'm going to start with me. Sorry, I've been kind of in a rush myself a little bit. Uh, Here's what I will say about this episode. Now, what I want to do first is I do want to give a compliment to Discovery this season and what they're doing in regards to the teamwork they show and the troubleshooting when they have any of these issues or problems.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool that everyone gets involved to try to figure out what the hell's going on, what they need to fix. That being said, this episode in particular, yes, they had that, but I felt the episode as a whole, I just didn't feel engaged with it. To me, it kind of felt a little boring. I don't know what it was. I just, it didn't capture me. I was just kind of sitting there watching it and like, well, yeah, when's this going to be over?
What about you, JD?
well, I mean, I kind of agree. I liked this one much better than the last couple that we've had. They actually dealt with some interesting moral implications. They started asking some of those questions about, what are we supposed to do with the device when we find it, kind of stuff, and that was good. And it's funny because you talked about the fact that Jefferson mentioned the fact that they've been doing this group working through stuff, bouncing ideas around the room. That was actually that one scene in this episode. Raynor didn't let Adira knock the mountain, get other people involved in helping. And I was like, well, no, that's kind of the whole thing that we've been doing, all stuck on something. Let me get somebody else's thoughts. So that scene actually kind of stuck out to me because it was actually the opposite of what you just mentioned, is that they didn't get anybody else's input on how to fix the device. But yeah, as far as Burnham's storyline, do y'all remember, I think it was either season 2 or 3 of Voyager, when they were Kess was stuck on this planet and Janeway had to go down and do these tests to try and rescue her. Do y'all remember that one at all? It's
That doesn't sound familiar.
A lot of Voyager was hit or miss for me, so I probably put it out of my head. You got to forgive me on that one.
Well, and to be fair, that's a miss episode. It's a very boring episode because it's just Janeway.
It's a Kess episode. So,
it's a Kess and Janeway. It's a Kess and Janeway episode, and it's Janeway having to go through these weird tests to prove that she can live up to these people's standards. And that's what the A story in this episode reminded me of a lot, was was Burnham having to go through this test to prove that we can fix the device, kind of thing. And I started realizing, I think that's one of the things about this season, is it feels like they've gone through like old TNG and DS9 episodes and picked out something, and we're like, let's do this, but in a different way, so that we can pretend we're not ripping off the old stuff. But
it feels very by the book,
formulaic. Yeah, it's been very formulaic.
But yeah, that's the thing about the positives for this episode that I did enjoy were the camaraderie between the people. The problem is I don't feel like I know the people that they're being chummy with. I don't know the lady at the helm. I don't know the dude at the comm, I think it is. I feel like if they were to be having these scenes with different people, the people that we've grown the past 4 years with, and that's not to say that these actors are bad, because they're not, but I miss
Owosekun.
God damn it! By the last episode, I'm gonna have her name. I will have it, And I'm gonna have that spreadsheet in front of me, that you sent me, man. But like, if we were to have that with her, I feel like they gave her a lot of nice stuff in this episode, and same thing with that communications guy. Like, I just feel like if we had these scenes with our characters who we're familiar with, like, they gave them some nice nuggets to work with. And I feel like it's a disservice to the Discovery crew, because I feel like this is almost an entirely different show. This feels like almost a spin-off, almost like at the end of Discovery Season 2 when we were hanging out on the Enterprise in that battle. We're with a different crew, a different ship. Because, I mean, outside Tilly and Stamets, when we're on the bridge, who's familiar? It doesn't.
That's one thing that I'm actually kind of questioning. Like, I'd really like if one of the producers would do an interview and explain, why have we changed like half the cast mid-season?
Yeah,
like I'm not against new characters, but like, what happened?
It feels like there's no reason to it, and that is what really confuses me. Is what is the reason for this? Because we're already at season 5, where we know some about Wusakun, Detmer, Reese,
yeah,
and
that's the 3 who they've kind of pushed off to the side.
Yeah, like why aren't they there? We finally started to get some more time with them, but suddenly we have new characters with screen time, and it just that part for this season, that really, it shouldn't bother me, but it does.
It doesn't technically affect the story, but because we're being distracted by these new things happening, it affects the story.
Yeah, like, where in the hell are these 3 people that have been on the show since season 1?
It would be different if these were reoccurring characters through, from the years, and they just now stepped up. But it's just out of the blue. And again, you're absolutely right. It doesn't change the story, but it's one thing if this was. It would be one thing at the fact that, like, this. Hey, they've got to go help Starfleet Academy, or they've got to go help build Starfleet somewhere. Or they've got, like, there's a reason for it. But given the fact that it's even more tragic that it's the final season, I know when they shot this, they didn't know that, but
right.
it doesn't on either front. It doesn't make any sense to change character. And you're right, like, to have the producers say, "Hey, this is why we did this," but it doesn't, like, there's no reason for them to change.
Like, I mean, if they came out and they said that the actress who plays Detmer got an offer to play a bigger role in another show, and so that's why she left, and they had to change some things. Okay, let us know that, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. I totally agree with you. It would be nice, and in all fairness, I'm not going to give them too much credit and say that they've addressed that, but also I would have to say that I haven't been following the fine-tuning, nitpicking forums out there where this may have been discussed, or following the Twitters of the producers or whatnot. But I will venture to say that my money is on that there has been no mention or address of this from anyone in the production.
I would say that it's probably not the fact that they went off to another show, because if you look at the behind the scenes pictures, they're there in the behind the scenes pictures. So I don't think they went anywhere. Usually if you go off to film another show, you're not there behind the scenes. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it has. I really think it has to do with, hey, let's just build some more characters up. And again. Yeah, and it's not saying that these actors have done anything bad, because it hasn't. It's just, to me, it's, build some support crew, have them do something else. This was not the way to do it. Mark says, it took me until the third season before I finally knew all of the main characters' names. And now, boom, new crew. No, you're not. I still don't even know their names. And and they threw me for a
every
fucking
week. Every week.
And that's how bad it is.
Every damn week.
So that was the good thing, like, that I loved, getting, like, we're getting used to the crew camaraderie. It's just, I wish it was with the crew that I've gotten to know through the past 4 years. The bad with this episode was we're running slowly with some water. Like, dude, I do that in my house. So I don't need to watch an hour looking at my watch going, my God, this is a piece of shit. And it was one of those episodes where, again, looking at, this lady who is, I miss mom and I got to make dad proud and all that. Like, everybody could see it a mile away that the dad's going to fucking kill her and it's going to be one of those episodes. And like, we all saw it a mile away. And it's just one of those episodes where it's like, I want them to give us an episode with, some meat on it. And I don't feel like the last 3 episodes, I don't feel like they've really done that.
I think there was a little more to this one because, like I said, they did get into the whole morality of, and I think that's part of what they were trying to do with the story itself of why they have to run this test and everything, is to get them to thinking about what are they going to do once they have the device. And it also brought up a big conversation that I think is quite relevant for Star Trek, is the necessity of the Prime Directive. Because in my opinion, at least, the Prime Directive has a lot of flaws. It can be very good, but it's got flaws.
Hey, what's up, Zam? How are we doing, man? It's good to see you on the channel, brother. No, you're right. That was a good argument they had. I was glad we didn't spend 20 minutes discussing it between the
Yes.
Commander douchebag and the Captain Crybaby. Like, the thing about this episode, though, like, I fear, like, because we're already 6 episodes into the final season, and we got, I think, 4 episodes left. What I fear they're going to do is what they usually do in this season is, they wait till the final episode or 2, and then we get little to nothing of a resolution. And I don't want that. I really want to see, hey, we've got this. How does this impact the galaxy? Because there's no, like, I know we have Starfleet Academy, but, I mean, really, how does this impact the Star Trek universe?
You're going to see that in the last half hour of the last episode.
Yeah, me, I don't want a fucking, end game of Voyager type finale for this shit. That really annoys the fuck out of me when they do that. And Discovery has the bad tendency. I really want some resolution for the story, because I feel like they really haven't given us much of any resolution with the story. Zam says I gave this episode a 7 out of 10.
That sounds about right.
That's a lot higher than I.
Me.
I didn't enjoy this episode at all. Then again, I feel like I've been really harsh on this entire season. I enjoyed the first episode. I think the second episode was really good, but then I feel like it declined after that. Let's see. Did any of you pick up on the hint that Burnham could end up in the Academy series? I kind of felt that way too. Yeah.
It's funny that Nikki's not here this week as much as she's been talking about the Academy show.
Yeah. I want to go back real quick and talk about the Prime Directive that JD brought up. So, yes, the Prime Directive definitely has flaws. Everything has flaws. Anything you put out there will have a flaw. However, anytime that there's a Prime Directive episode or a Prime Directive discussion, my defense of that, and I'm not saying that I agree that the Prime Directive should always be followed to the letter, But what I will point out is that the Prime Directive makes a lot of sense, because the example I like to use is just with us. Let's go back 65 million years. There is an advanced spacefaring civilization that is studying Earth, the dinosaurs, and sees, oh, holy shit, there's this asteroid on its way that's going to impact the planet. What would that do? What could it do? Well, they have a big discussion about it, et cetera, and decide we're going to have to destroy this asteroid or divert it. We can't let it hit the planet. So they destroy the asteroid or divert it. Boom. What does that do? What are those implications when you think you're doing something that is very well and good, very, benevolent, but as we are sitting here right now, think about that. How much would have changed? What would the planet have been like? What would evolution had been like if a well-meaning civilization did that, and they didn't have any kind of non-interference or anything like that? Then that's the argument that I use with the Prime Directive.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with that. The one thing that I would argue is that we don't have any reason to believe that dinosaurs were sentient.
No. I'm not saying that they were.
I know, but that's my point, is that I would say that no, you probably shouldn't interfere in as far as what is generally considered the natural progress of things.
Right.
But when it comes to a sentient species, in the case of these people who lived on this planet that had these storms, I think what the Denobulan doctor did was actually a good thing. He was trying to protect these sentient society, and by building those towers, I think that was, it's technically is a violation of the Prime Directive. I think he was in the right.
I feel like the fact that you already had someone's technology, like with the Denobulan doctor there, I feel like doing something like that, you can kind of bypass the Prime Directive. It's not like, it's
I'm
not
referring to the fact that the Denobulan was a Starfleet officer. So he was violating the Prime Directive.
Did they say he was a Starfleet officer, or did they just say Denobulan?
Picked that up.
He was at least part of the Federation.
I just knew that they said Denobulan. I don't know if they said he was Starfleet per se, but I just on the grounds that it was that they already had somebody interfering. It's kind of like if you have Klingons, from the TOS era that were giving, one side of a village phasers. Yeah. Do you have the right to go in and interfere? So just on that argument, you have you can kind of be flexible. I'm not saying break the rules, all the way, but at least you have some flexibility there with the Prime Directive, so go ahead.
All of this is a moot point. They're on a red directive mission.
Very true. It's kind of
everything.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Omega Directive, where everything just kind of gets thrown out the window. So Zam brings up a point. He says, "I think the Brain will take the baton from Maul and Locke as the main antagonist. We did see them destroy Starfleet in the Starbug episode, and I kind of agree with you. I've said last week that I don't think that they're gonna continue to stay, and I kind of agree with you. I don't like the look of the Brain, by the way. I think they look horse shit compared to what they used to. I think it's a step down from what they used to look like. What do you guys think?
Really?
And Zam, chime in. What do you?
I think the costumes look great. Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about the face,
the whole kit and caboodle, both. I was looking at the helmets, and I was like, no, this looks like bad cosplay. Like somebody looked at it and was like, man, I can make this better at home. And then they did it very cheaply and was like, failed miserably at it. I did not like that. I don't care what they look like underneath. It's immaterial to me.
Like I said, I like the costumes.
Yeah, I like the costumes. I don't have a problem with the reveal of their faces or any of that. No problem there. But that's just my opinion. I think the Breen definitely have room to be more of a presence.
I hope they do become a presence, and it becomes kind of the main antagonist of the show for Starfleet Academy show. You know, they step up because I think that
Them
would
and
be
the
something.
Orion
But
Syndicate.
yeah, yeah. So Mark says, I instantly thought of you all when Kovich pulled out the notepad and was like, he's got to be a supervisor or something like that. I do. I think he's got to be my favorite character in this show because he's so damn interesting and mysterious, and I love everything he does. He's such a fun character.
I do.
Well,
I like Kovich.
there is a theory going around, and I'm kind of like, well, I could hop on that one, that he was the future man in Enterprise.
Oh man.
Oh, that would be, yeah, I could see that.
It was
Yeah,
intended to be Archer,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know,
it was never resolved.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess
I could see Kovich though. He's tall like that guy was.
that.
Yeah, I could see. I think everybody could kind of get behind that. So Zam says the brain looked like Daft Punk cosplay. It does, dude, right? Mark says he prefers the brain from DS9, and yeah, I kind of agree with
Sure,
that.
the snout look was cool, but you know, you have to adjust. You've got to think, what do things look like 900 years from when we last saw them? What kind of advancements? What would the uniforms look like, et cetera, et cetera? And unfortunately, they don't have the luxury of really staying anywhere close with what we had seen, because then you have to figure, okay, you're telling me that after 900 years they still have this, or you know, that takes a lot of creativity to try to imagine what will things look like that far ahead in the future.
I will say I'm curious what the Klingons look like, because we've seen a Ferengi, which I love the look of the Ferengi. I love their new look. I think it's cool because it looks a lot like the what the TNG season 1 Ferengi were supposed to look like, with a little bit weird, funky looking ears and kind of points and whatnot. I like the look of the Ferengi, but I'm curious what the Klingons are going to look like. Is for a series that started off with. Go ahead.
I hadn't honestly thought about the fact that since we got to the 32nd century, we've not seen a Klingon that I can recall.
No, and
You
we
know
started. What's that?
I'm willing to bet why, because the showrunners, producers, writers are like, we don't even want to deal with the fans talking about what we chose the Klingons to look like, so we're just going to leave them out. Let them talk about them not being in it. That's fine, but we don't want to hear any bitching about what they look like if we show them. So just
I mean, in Discovery season 2, they started to kind of go back to the hair, the way the Klingons supposedly, you know, were going to, you know, but then you go back to Strange New Worlds, and they look like normal DS9 looking Klingons, you know.
Yep.
So, but I kind of feel like 32nd century Klingons could appropriately look like Discovery season 1 Klingons would look like, you know, because I mean, it would.
Sorry, go ahead.
That far in the future, I mean, I think that would be appropriate. Even though I think it's ugly, I think it would be appropriate.
Here is my argument with that entire thing.
Sure.
And it is very much a shame that Discovery had the opportunity to do this and to, I think, once and for all, put the whole thing to bed. Look at humans. We have such a very different look between us, with Americans, Asians, Africans, you name it. So we have such a non-homogeneous, which I don't know what the word for that would be, non-homogeneous looking species. But when we see the Klingons, we somehow expect all of them to have this uniform look.
Yeah.
So why is it that we, for whatever odd reason, we can't accept that the Klingons in the early season of Discovery are Klingons? The Klingons in TOS are Klingons. You know, every Klingon you see is a Klingon, just like every human you see is a human. You're not going to complain when you see someone that is the African or Asian and suddenly say, "Why don't you look like BigJ and Vance? You guys aren't humans." It doesn't make sense. But the thing was, and I remembered thinking this in the first episode of Discovery, and when I can't, not Vok, but the lead guy, the Klingon who wanted to start the war. When they were about to show the scene with the representatives of all the Klingon houses, before that happened, I said, boom, they are smart enough. What they're going to do here is they're going to show a few different looks of the Klingons. They're going to show these new looking Klingons, the old looking Klingons. Everyone's going to be happy. What did they do? They shit the bed. It was like, no, we're going to just lose the opportunity to make sense. And they had it. They were this close to having an out. They could have made it make sense.
Yeah.
And am I the only one that is crazy thinking, why do we accept that we all as humans look radically different, but we expect the Klingons not to?
No, I agree with you on that. Like, I have no problem. It's just like with the fan films. Like, when I watch a show, that someone puts out and I see a TOS Klingon in a next gen film, I don't care. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Or I see, like Josh had one that was, because he kind of picks and chooses what he wants from the different eras, and some other films do the same thing, and I got no problem with it, because it's like, you work with what you have, and you kind of just, you smile and go on, because it's Star Trek, and you just enjoy it for what it is. And I personally love the J.J. Abrams Klingon look, where they have those helmets. I personally have one of those helmets myself. And I love when he takes off the helmet and he's got like those piercings down his. Yeah, I love that look, and I love the fact that he has blue eyes. I don't know why he does, but I'm like, fuck yeah. And he's bald, and he looks cool as shit.
But again, why not?
I love it. I love that look.
I've got brown eyes. What color eyes you got?
Yeah, I got blue. Yeah, no,
I'm not human.
Yeah, no, I love that look for like, and it wouldn't be uncommon for every pack that a Klingon runs with to look different, So I have no problem with that. But I think this would be appropriate for, like I said, the 32nd century Klingons to look like they did originally in Discovery, but I don't know if they'd go with that, because it might throw people off who are like, that's not a Klingon. But again, like, I think it would be a throwback to what they had at the beginning. But Zam says maybe we'll get to see the Klingons in Starfleet Academy. I agree. Maybe, I think at some point it would be foolish not to. We've seen Vulcans / Romulans. We've seen Ferengi. We've seen the fucking Breen. Who knows? We might see a Klingon. Zam says aliens also seem to be culturally all the same. Vulcans all being logic-based, Klingons being aggressive, humans all are culturally different and have hundreds of languages. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So on this episode, it's are we happy overall with this season and where it's going? And did you like this episode?
So, as far as what we were promised early on, they were saying the whole season was supposed to be this like Indiana Jones style adventure, looking for the clues, find the thing. And yeah, it started off kind of like that, but man, if Raiders of the Lost Ark had gotten this slow in the middle part, it never would have made any money. And that's kind of been the issue with the last few seasons of Discovery, is they get this real bad mid-season lull where, this season is doing much better than especially last season, because last season, the middle 4 episodes are almost nothing. It's kind of like how Picard season 2 had that middle 3 or 4 episodes was just nothing happened for 4 episodes. I think they're doing a little better as far as keeping the pace up, but it's still not the adventure that we were promised. But months ago.
is it that our expectations are too high, or we're expecting something with just a little bit more punch to it, or do we expect them to get there a little faster and then see the result a little bit quicker, and then like what would you guys do differently if you were in charge of the show?
Well, so far, I think the season as a whole, I like the season as a whole. It was a great idea, great concept. I like the story. I didn't care for this episode. That doesn't mean that suddenly the entire season is a wash. I do still feel like that the element of there's this, we have to hurry up and wait. I wasn't expecting a Cannonball Run type season. I knew that there were going to be I knew there would have to be points where it was like this, where we still have to find this thing. We're in a race against someone else, but we still have to figure out these clues and do the thing. So you're right. I understand that it's not every episode is going to be, look, the clue is sitting on that statue right there, and we have to run and so you can get there faster, or there's going to be a phaser fight every episode for the thing. There are going to be logic-based puzzles and things like that, because that's just how it is. It doesn't mean that it's suddenly not a race. It doesn't mean that there's suddenly not a sense of urgency. That's all there.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, you have to figure out the thing, and the faster you figure it out, the faster you get there.
So Mark says, I will say this. This was the point. I quit watching the last season, but I'm still watching this season. And that's, like, honestly, like, our conversations on this is never, like I said, I know that I've been a lot more harsh this season than I have been the last couple, because I feel like I've been burnt the last couple, and so I've been a lot more pessimistic going into this, especially considering I really enjoyed the first couple episodes. So if you're enjoying it, man, that's awesome. I'm not trying to take away anything from you guys. That's awesome. Keep watching, and that's what you guys should be doing. Enjoy what you guys love. That's what you guys should be doing. And Zam says, I appreciate Sombra episodes considering everything this season has been balls to the walls, pew pew. See, I can understand that. My feeling is this: when they said that this was going to be more of a Indiana Jones style season, I felt that it was going to be more of a, hey, we have this artifact, we got to go find the pieces. And what does this mean to me, Michael Burnham? On a personal level, we have this universal life-creating thing. What does this mean to me? Okay, I'm, as Tilly, what does this mean to me? Like, everything on a personal level, what does this mean? I don't care so much about Tilly running through trying to drink water and filling up bowls. I don't care about that. Like, all these things that they're giving me, I don't care about. Like, sitting and watching, like, I was really interested, or at least I want to be interested in the Culber. God damn it!
Hugh Culber.
I'm Culber. I'm getting closer. I'm getting I want to be interested in what he's approaching, because at least it's something like philosophical, like meaning of life type shit, like shit that I can look at and go, huh, let me analyze myself. And that's what I thought we would be getting more of this season, because again, you're talking about like something that's more than just a weapon, something that is, hey, this is a creation of life. Well, how does that impact people more than just pew pew? And when you go back to the original episode that had the Romulans, Cardassians, and Klingons all searching for this weapon, or whatever this is, where I think they joke about could be someone's recipe for biscuits or whatever, they talk about those philosophical issues, and they really kind of each question themselves about it. And I loved that aspect of it, and I feel like we should be getting more of that, and we're not. And I feel like, instead of giving us brand new crew members we don't know, instead of going down these just filler episodes or filler moments, I feel like we should be delving into these aspects of who are these characters that we haven't dealt with. I wish we were getting those moments, because I feel like there's so much there that we're just not getting, and it's a little disappointing.
It could definitely be a lot more interesting if they spent more time on getting the characters that we've seen filled out better. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and to address the Indiana Jones comparison that they made, I would say that not even Indiana Jones was entirely punching Germans with silly sound effects throughout the entire movie. There was also lots of troubleshooting and investigating and things like that. So I don't think that I don't think that them saying that this season has been false advertising. I don't feel that way in regards to the comparison that they made. One of the things that is a little nitpick for me, and you guys may disagree on this, but I thought that this thing would be like more of a galaxy traversing, looking for clues thing. Were the progenitors based in the Alpha Quadrant? Is every hint in the Alpha Quadrant? Are they not having to?
It's because the 5 scientists were Alpha and Beta Quadrant.
Sure, but I'm just curious if there's going to be any artifact, any hint or anything that points to, okay, with this we have to go to the Delta Quadrant. Or this one, it's in the Gamma Quadrant. I want them to somehow find a reason for this to not be everything happens in the Alpha Quadrant story. Life
I understand
in the galaxy originated here. Let's hopefully they'll take the opportunity and get out of that mindset. And
it sounds like the next time they're going to be going to Betazoid is what it sounds like. So
Beta Z, they were already there.
Beta Z.
No, wait, they weren't already there. I think they were already there.
No.
Yeah, they were already there.
That was into Trill.
Yeah, they haven't hit Beta Z yet. No, they're on their way to. They haven't been there yet.
I thought one of the episodes ended with them. I thought the one with the time bug at the end, it was either that one or the one prior. It ended with them. Okay, now we got to go to Beta Z to figure out this next thing.
No, it was
maybe I misheard something.
It was the clue made it seem like that's Maul and Locke went to Beta Z because that clue they thought was, but it was actually the clue was for them to go to Trill.
Oh, that's where I'm getting confused. Yeah.
So Zam says Culber resurrecting his grandma for advice as a hologram brought up some ethical questions during our podcast. For me personally, I don't have an issue with it, because it's no different than like go to the 24th century and someone kind of doing the same thing and just kind of chatting, or us nowadays in modern time, like looking at old photographs and kind of just sitting on the porch talking out loud like we would.
I disagree with you.
But I think it was weird because I was sitting there like, who the fuck is this? And it kind of came out of left field. But I don't like. But as an ethical, I don't think it was for me. It wasn't a matter of ethics. I just think it was off-putting because he's never shown any sense of family like that before.
Oh yeah, he's talked about his grandma before.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it was
in the second episode. He was when he was talking with Tilly. He mentions about his grandmother was a doctor, but she also had all these religious symbols in her house.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. So, like, first off, I absolutely get the idea of wanting to have one more conversation with my grandma. Like, that moment actually kind of pulled at my heartstrings a little bit because, like, no, yeah, I would, if I could have even a simulated conversation that way with my grandmother, that would be amazing. But there are the Barclays of the world who, given something, that's it. That's why I'm like, no, this is not us. This is not us sitting on the porch and showing pictures and talking about grandma. This is something you could, with too much, you could abuse the use of a piece of technology like that. If you were, I mean, if say your wife died and you were so heartbroken, but then you start having this holographic wife, holographic representation of your wife to replace her. No, you're not dealing with the death of your wife.
Yeah, but that's not what he was doing here. He was to replace his grandma would be one thing, but he wasn't replacing his grandma.
Right, but I don't think that's what Zam's talking about. He's talking about the ethical implications of the long-term use of the technology.
Long-term use, yeah, long-term, doing that long-term, it would be, they brought up in Orville, who's that red-haired guy?
The helmsman,
yeah.
We all went blank simultaneously.
Yeah. Brain fart, all of us. No, like he does the same thing with that holodeck with the simulator from a cell phone of that girl from.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's exactly like that. I completely agree with what you're talking about there, where it's like you're now simulating real life instead of what it's meant for, which is I kind of need to bounce some ideas off something. I kind of like, and so to me, it's like that's kind of where you would draw the line of like, look, this is the difference between I kind of need a momentary help versus, hey, I'm getting off work. I'm going to go party for 9 hours and this is my life. Okay. I'm getting texts from a simulation. Like there's a big difference there. And I don't know. Malloy, that's it. Malloy. Yeah.
Malloy.
I like, yep.
Sorry. Boom. It hit.
No, he's a great character, and that's what makes it even more tragic is because he's one of the most relatable characters in fucking sci-fi. He's us, man. But that holodiction type deal.
And DS9 technically already did this with Only a Paper Moon when Nog moved into the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, those questions have been asked. Hopefully, some people have put safeties in place.
Yeah. So Mark says, if they had a few different arcs that just lasted a few episodes of the season, like Enterprise did in season 4, I think it would be better. And dude, I agree with you. Season 4 was really great for doing that. And like knowing where they wanted to begin and end, and kind of just having that that right amount of story. I don't know. For me, this just seems to be dragging out, but I seem to be in the minimum here because it doesn't seem to be as bad as I'm making it out to be. But
I definitely get the sense of what you're talking about. I can see why you see it dragging. I agree with that a little bit.
Yeah, and anything is going to be like that, honestly. Even in Picard season 3, as great as it was, and I mean it was like on the edge of your seat for most of the season. But take high octane, every episode just stresses you out show like 24. Even that managed to have some slow parts there.
Yeah.
To help get your blood pressure lowered a little bit, I mean, it didn't have many, but the thing is that there are every show is going to have moments like that. They're going to have episodes like that.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like it's also part of the problem when you're watching something like going back and watching Discovery season 1 as a whole. I don't mind it as much as I did the first go around, because I'm able to watch it back after back after back, and it doesn't bother me. So I'm sure if I were to watch this season, like once it's all done, it probably wouldn't bother me as much as waiting a week and then being like,
Right.
my God, this is so fucking long. So I think when you watch something that's serialized and you have to wait, it just draws it out more as opposed to something that's episodic where it's like has nothing to do with the other one. You can stop and you can get back to it whenever, you know. So I'm sure it's probably just my preconceived notion of what I'm waiting for, my expectation. So it's probably just a taste issue.
It is. I think it is because when you come off of a slow episode, the wait for the week might feel slower than if you came off of a faster paced, high octane episode. But you're right. Years from now, when we go back and rewatch this stuff and you're able to go straight through and binge the entire season at will, it's probably going to change the tone of how you felt about the episode, because now instead of having this episode is a breather, we can relax for a little bit. The first 5 were high stress. Episode 6 is a breather. The thing is, though, now we have to wait a week for the next one, and we don't know what that one's going to be like. Whereas once we can watch all 10 in a row, that breather episode is going to feel different. It's not going to, my 5 out of 10 might go to a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Or
who knows?
Whereas you're waiting for that week and you're like, God, this is such a long wait. That was kind of a disappointment. Whereas when you're binge watching, you're like, okay, I'm gonna catch up on my paperwork while I'm watching this episode, and it's just background noise, or I'll draw something. No, I completely get it. It's how some people watch, Star Trek the Motion Picture while they're drawing something. It's just background noise until they get to the better one. So Eric was hung. Love the name, by the way. Says, how is that different from their resurrecting Picard as a robot? I assume you're talking about the grandma thing again. And Zam answers it perfectly. Yeah. Picard's mind was transferred. He wasn't dead.
But there's a big philosophical discussion that I've had several times on that was, what is it that makes you you? What was it that made Picard Picard? Was it his body, or was it the mind? And that's the thing is, there's really not an answer to that. Some may say that Picard died, and this is not the Jean-Luc Picard that we knew up until that point, because he's a synth. Well, but he has all of the knowledge, experience, and memories of Jean-Luc Picard. So it's not him because it's not his body. That's a debate that can take a whole entire episode of a podcast, honestly.
See, and for me, Zam says Spock's been resurrected and his brain out of his body. And that's a good point. Like, to me personally, I again, everything, and this is the wonderful philosophical discussion of Star Trek. It really all just depends on it. It's all a taste issue to you. To me, I never liked the Picard synth ending of that
of season 1.
Of season 1.
I hated that.
I don't like that. It's one of the things.
So much of season 1, that was the ending, is what I hated.
Yeah, I don't like. I wasn't a big fan of season 1 of Picard. Like, there was a lot that I didn't like about it, but I could stomach a lot of the world building that they had. The story I wasn't a big fan of, but the world building, I could say I enjoy this, I enjoy this, I enjoy this. But that one element, I cannot get past. And I tend to ignore that when I watch anything past that moment. Because it's just one of those things where it's like you've kind of, for me personally, and it's not reflective for anyone else, for me personally, you've kind of destroyed a character in a way that I don't feel like you need to. Because if you had done that at the end of the season and left it for the next, okay. And if that was a story point, okay. But for me, I don't see a reason. Why did you even do it if you were just going to bring it back? Like Kirk at the end of Star Trek Into Darkness. Why did you have to kill him if you were just bringing him back 2 seconds later? And to me, it's storytelling like that on its own is just there's no point, and so I don't like it. And to make a character who's never been this way, for Spock, I can overlook his death because when you look at him, it doesn't change his character to have had his Katra go to McCoy and then come back, and he's not fundamentally changing who he is, even though he's gone through all this shit. When you look at Picard, it fundamentally changes everything about him, even though his mind is still the same. It fundamentally changes him. When you look at him, you're now an android. You're even though your wrinkles are the same and everything about you is the same, and you're going to die as you would have expected. Then why did you even do it? Like everything about. I mean, to me, it's just why if you're going to go so far out of your way to make all these excuses to say, oh, but you're just like you would have been, then why even change it? Why did you even write that in there? You could have made character development on other things instead of having this one plot point be there. It's fake feelings for no reason. So to me, I don't see a point to the whole thing. But you guys have the floor. I've been jibber jabbering for no reason.
I mean, I can't besmirch them the decision to do that with what they did. Okay, now we have to kick Zam. That's
I love that.
Offense right there.
I love Tom Hardy, but no.
But I think the
he needs the crab mask too. That's what he needs. He needs the Bane crab mask.
I think the ethics of Dr. Culber talking to his grandmother. I think that the way they did it wasn't presented as trying to replace someone or to extend their longevity. It was just like you want to get a perspective from someone who knows you, because he doesn't have any family besides Paul Stamets.
But,
so this is his only chance to have. I mean, do we know? We know that everyone, that people left behind family, but specifically for Culber, did he leave behind a mom, dad, brother, sister? Did we know anything of that before Discovery had to hop and jump?
Well, he would have had family if they wouldn't have changed the bridge rotation out. We got these new characters, No, like here's
the knife.
Like here's the thing that is irritating. You have all these characters who've been together for so long. They should feel like a close-knit group who could go to any one of each other and talk about these issues, but they don't. And that's sad, because then here comes Holograndma, who I didn't even know, who the fuck is this character? Here's another character that I don't know who's showing up with everybody else in rotation. And again, why? Why can't you go talk to Paul? Why can't you go talk to fucking Tilly? Why can't you go fucking talk to, hell, fucking bring that ex-Klingon guy back. Like, I'd fucking take him over at Holograndma. Like, I don't care, but talk to somebody on the ship. Like, you've been with these people for how long? And you can't tell me that these people aren't fucking family. You've been through time and death and all these things. You went through the mushroom thingamabob, like, and death. Like, I mean, no, at this point, through all the things you've been through and all the years you've been with them, you can't tell me that this isn't family. So I don't buy that you can't talk to these people. Now, I know in the real world, we all get into I'm going to regress into myself and I can't really talk about what I've been through. But this is now how many times we've told that same story. And this guy in particular, this is now twice that he's had that story that he can't talk about. Twice. Him. Because the first time he was dead, came back, can't talk about it. Now he's living, other guy inside him is exercising like a motherfucker, and he can't talk about it again. So it's just, to me, it's like, man, and you're the one giving advice to people like Counselor Troy couldn't do. So, like, it's just, we really have to start working on our communication and stop talking to holograma. So, I don't know.
I wonder if maybe it's a matter of less judgment, and you don't have to see that person at home the next day or at work the next day. It could be something that if I talk about this, I don't want the person to remember the conversation afterwards, because it's one of those things. Like I don't want to talk about it, then have you remember it, and then to know after the fact, oh yeah, I talked to you about that.
Yeah, there's certain things that you don't want to know.
I mean, yeah, there's Vance. There are things I could talk to you about, but it's like, the thing is, then I would have to deal with you the next day. I would still have to know you. We'd still be talking, and that would be in the back of my head, like, fuck, he knows this about me now, and shit. It could be something like that.
The equivalent of, like, hey, all of us at home, none of us are wearing pants right now. That's information you guys have to know, that, Cha-ching, all right, Jade. Oh, shit. All right, well, we've been here for an hour. What are you guys hoping we get next week? Because I have no idea what's going on, and it's not because I haven't seen any trailers or anything. What are you guys hoping we get next week? JD, what do you think?
Let's go ahead and get the last piece, so that we can of the puzzle, so that we can get to the thing and deal with that.
How many pieces are left?
One.
There's one left. Okay. I agree with JD on that. It's going to be episode 7. So we've got 7, 8, 9, 10. My one hope is that by the end of 7, we have the last piece, so that we can spend 8, 9, and 10 with just whatever it is, anything but still looking for the last piece. So yes, that needs to be resolved next week, so that we can move on to the real meat of the whole season. So that's my hope as well. Let's get that last piece found by the end of the 7th episode.
I'm gonna go on the road not taken. I think they're gonna drag it out, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we've almost got it," and then, like the Wile E. Coyote, they're gonna fucking take out. They're gonna screw us on it and be like, "Oh, we almost had it, and we don't got it now," and then they're gonna drag it on for another week, and we're gonna meet another crew member that we're like, "Who the fuck is that?"
So next week, Wayun 37 is going to show up.
How awesome!
Steal the device.
How awesome would that be? Yeah, Library Player says next week we'll get COVID to be mysterious again. Fuck yeah! He'll bring up another 20th century piece of something that we're like, dude, I want him to bring like a VHS player and be like, hey, this is your mission for this week. Be like, fuck yeah, it is.
MP3.
There you go. So Sam says next week we'll get Baton Pass to the Brain. In episode 8 we'll get the final piece of the MacGuffin, and 9 and 10 Brain Pew Pew. Hey, that would be better than Tilly running and drinking some water and being like, here you go, let me pass some water to you. That's bless their hearts. Anyway, that being said, I think that's it for this week, guys. Jefferson, I want to thank you for joining me. JD, I want to thank you for joining me.
Yes.
And everybody at home, thanks for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, you guys could have been anywhere, but you guys chose to hang out with us for an hour. How cool are you guys? You guys are fucking awesome. That being said, everyone be genuine, be safe, keep on geeking on, guys.